Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes now. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. We are live on all the usual places. I have got the chat open, so if someone does want to join on YouTube, I might remember to look at it. Joining me today, we've got Alex, who has been known as the gift guy because two separate people have referred to you as the gift guy after talking to you, Alex. So I apologise.
I've had worse nicknames, Mike. That's all right.
And when I just mentioned it to my missus before we came on air, I showed her it and she was like, "But it's outside the club shop, so couldn't you have gone with something funny like the gift shop guy?"
Oh, it's clever.
Damn
Maybe she should host the podcast, mate.
Shush. Let's not put ideas in anyone's heads. And also, fresh from a long day and probably week, is Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah,
How
I'm
are
tired. I am tired, but I'm very happy.
Good. You went over and beyond. I mean, you did typical Sarah with the whole, I'm organising it all, and I'll tell you what, I'll make biscuits for everyone as well. So
I don't think I'm actually capable of organising any event without baking something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me, but
let's make a hard day just that little bit harder, right?
that does sound like me as well. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously it's only yesterday, and there's not a lot of time to reflect. Got down early. There seemed to be a few different conversations. Obviously, I'm not angry at her or anything, but Rosie got in the first picture and the first one out on social media, and I was like, yeah, first men's game, first big crowd, and you have to hog the limelight. But how was the whole thing? I know the girls were busy as well at the table, helping everyone choose their biscuits, and it was. But how was it all so far?
I have to say that Sutton United's first ever Harrogate 2 dedicated fixture went like an absolute dream. It was so good. Everything went so well. There was kind of all a bit frantic behind.
Eek! Sarah's just lost connection there.
Oh, wait, I could hear you.
So we heard it went a bit frantic, and then you went robotic.
Oh, I do apologise.
That's all right.
Yeah, it was a bit frantic behind the scenes the days leading up to it, and I was. There were points where I thought, I'm going to drop the ball. I don't know who's doing this. Don't know who's doing that. But everyone did their bit really well, and everyone worked so hard. And I'm just really proud of the club for putting on such a great day.
No, excellent, and you have to be included in that as well, Sarah. I know you wouldn't say that, so we're going to say that for you. It certainly seemed to do the trick. I know last year I had a few comments that we hadn't had a fixture yet, but obviously it was our first year up, and I think it might have been Dave actually just saying we can't do everything now. We've got to try and do concentrate on all the things that are sort of legally required almost. But yeah, I thought it went really, really well. The ladies team being in attendance doing their lap of honour, even though I wasn't entirely sure that a lot of them knew that they were doing that.
I was a bit gutted I missed that because I was out in the fan zone talking to fans and giving people information about the campaign and probably biscuits. And I missed the players in their warm-up t-shirts with the Harrogate 2 logo on as well. But the pictures are brilliant, so I've got those to look at still.
Yeah, I think Jenny was trying to explain to Will Randall that since she sponsored him, then he should have to give her the t-shirt. I'm not entirely sure how that went. I'll find out next week. But she was like, I'm going to tell him I want his t-shirt. I was like, I don't think you get to do that, Jen. But was there a lot of engagement? I know you were kind of right by the where everyone gets their beer, so there must have been some engagement.
That wasn't accidental. No, there was. It was really good. There was. I was in the fan zone for a couple of hours, and I didn't get time to get bored. Shall we say? It was lovely. People were coming up and just over for a chat, and it was really nice, just interacting with people and telling them what the campaign's all about. And I think probably the biscuits helped as well. It made people come in.
Yeah, always.
But it's also just getting it out there of this is me, this is who I am. Recognise me, say hello, and if you need me, come and talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So excellent. I'm really glad it went well. I know I've been banging the drum a little bit, but I am really genuinely pleased. On that, unfortunately, not generally pleased because the ladies' team lost today. They were away to Dulwich, and I was listening to it, and they did seem to be a little bit not out of their depth, but it was a difficult game for them today. So I think they played a team that was in first last year, second last year, and fifth last year. Not first, sorry, second, third, and fifth.
Yeah,
they've managed to get a draw so far. So if anyone is interested, please come along next Sunday because they're at home. And they could really do. There was 400 odd at Dulwich today.
And it's free.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely, it's free.
Crucial.
I still twitch at that because I'm very mercenary and I'm like, no, charge something,
yeah.
Get some money.
I do sometimes think if you give away a product for free, it kind of devalues it in some people's eyes. But I think this is just for one season. I think it to get people interested. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Even yesterday, I was talking to someone, and I'd mentioned what I think is a brilliant selling point of the fact you can go to the bar and bring your pint out and watch the football with your pint in your hand. And really? And I was like, oh, there's another one hooked. But I enjoy it. Rosie enjoys it. Rosie did love her game yesterday. She thought it was fantastic. The naughty words were. She was very pleased that she got to hear everyone shouting naughty words. But the general atmosphere, the general noise, which obviously we don't get very often at Sutton. And I know I've said it before, and I'm going to just have to say now, it was a lot better yesterday. There was a lot more positive noise yesterday. I think it was Gabriel who said what's going to happen is as these new crowd are learning more about Sutton, it will get better, and it was brilliant yesterday. I thought they were fantastic. The in air quotes youth kids, as I was saying before we came on air. What was your thoughts on it yesterday? It certainly sounded a lot better from where I was standing.
Me too. I think the atmosphere was lovely yesterday.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
it's
really good noise.
I think the fan zone has been a really good addition. For the facilities at the ground generally. I think obviously we've always had the bar inside pre-game, but I think especially with the good weather we've had at the start of the season, it's just really created a community feel before the game, and I think that translates into the crowd at the game itself. I think it's been excellent. Yeah,
I've said that I think a lot of people who are the newer people coming along, walking around to the bar area, seeing there's a function going on, will just turn around and walk out again because they don't know they're allowed in there. And the name of the players' bar tells you it's for the players. So you're not going to go in there. So unless you know, you wouldn't do these things. So I think the fan zone's been brilliant. I've got down there early enough. I'm not a massive drinker, but I get down there early enough to say hello to a few people now. There's always something going on. So yeah, I think you're quite right. It's one of those extra little things that helps. Another little tick.
And it's good that the season begins in the summer, isn't it? Because people don't get used to because if it started in the middle of winter, then people wouldn't go in there, would they?
Exactly.
But now that have been going in for a few months, they'll know. Even when the weather isn't so good, they'll probably still be tempted to go.
Well, there is plans for that as well. Ed was telling me that don't worry, it's going to be a cover and it's all going to be sorted when it gets to wet and cold.
Cool. We're going to have a patio heater.
Yeah, we'll have something.
Nice.
But onto the game very quickly. Ahead of the game, what were your thoughts on the lineup? I got 10 out of 11. I did think that one of the strikers might have been changed. But what were your thoughts when you saw the lineup? We'll start with you, Alex, this time.
Yeah, I was interested to see if any of the signings we brought in last week, just before the deadline, would make an appearance. I thought it probably would be too early for them, but it was nice to see Kendall on the bench, for example. But I thought it's pretty strong. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ali Smith. As I think Mike, I think we've mentioned this before, and I do always look for his name in the starting 11. But you can't drop Eastman because he's quality. And I thought Beautyman was excellent yesterday. So it's a lovely problem for Matt to have those three high quality centre midfielders, and Harry obviously getting on the score sheet yesterday. But no, I was pretty pleased when it came out.
Yeah. Claire, I called Claire Sarah and you Claire. This
I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah. This
Doesn't
old
make
age.
it any better.
Yeah, this old age is not good, I'm telling you.
My first thought when I saw the team sheet was, that's a picture of me on the team sheet. What's going on? I didn't expect many changes. Or to be honest, before the game, I hadn't had a lot of time to think about it, but I wasn't expecting many changes, and I wasn't too surprised when I saw it.
Yeah, I think Andy Kay was pointed out Matt very rarely changes the last starting 11. So it was like, as it was announced, he was just like, "Yep, told you." Right,
especially after a positive result. Last why change a winning team, and it's 3 wins in a week. It's Fortress going to Green Lane. It's excellent.
Yeah, and someone said that James something said Measures, I think his name is. He mentioned on Twitter, we've lost 1 in 20 at Camden Green Lane.
Hey.
And I was like, really? I started counting back, and I think it's actually more than that if you include the Papa John's. So it might actually be more than that. And it was obviously, I was trying to then think, which is the one that we've lost, and then saw the result of Bradford, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't remember that one. That's wiped from the memory. But yeah, it was a nice, strong performance. I did laugh quite a bit at Matt's interview afterwards. He's clearly a strong manager. He's clearly a great personal manager, and but has a great relationship with the players. The way he was basically taking the piss that Harrogate came off Harry's shoulder. He was like, oh yeah, great header from Harry. Well, actually, it came off his shoulder.
Yeah.
You can't go. You're a professional football manager. You can't take the piss out of your players. But yeah, a great goal there. We should have been 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that first half yesterday is the best football we've played for a while, and that's including the success of the last couple of seasons. Is not to do that down, but the way we were knocking the ball around, particularly in the first 15 to 20 minutes, I thought was just fantastic. And a word for Kizzy's cross for the goal. I mean, to hit that ball sort of leaning back first time on the half volley the way he did was outstanding.
Yeah. And Josh, I thought, was terrifying again.
Unbelievable.
Love him. But I thought it was fantastic.
The way that he's so direct, every time he picks up the ball, he's just, his instinct is to run at the defender and attack him. And I just think that's such a good quality. And it doesn't work every time, but it seems to be working quite a lot at the moment. And long may it continue.
Well, I think like once a season, Matt will get in a player that really excites me, and it's Josh this season.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been really, really spoiled over the last decade with our wingers, because there's so many that get the ball that make everyone just go, "Whoa, what's going to happen here?"
Yeah.
And you could just literally reel them off. You've got Rory, Tom, Dave, and now Josh. It's like
we always seem to hang on to them longer than anyone would expect us to, don't we?
Well. There must be something about our club, because Dino was up yesterday.
Yeah, I saw him hanging out with Omar by the TARDIS. He
was winding. He wound up one of the fans, because they were like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I've signed back on loan." And they were like, "What?" And he was like, "Nah." That would have been believable if you were here Wednesday.
How many keepers do we need, Dino?
If he turned up on Wednesday doing that, people would have been all over it.
Yeah.
But on that Wednesday, our new goalkeeper, 6'5".
I saw him warming up.
We've never had a big goalkeeper like that.
Yeah, I saw him. I was about to say warming up, but it was probably cooling down, even though he didn't play with Brad after the game. And he is a unit. He's massive, which is obviously a good start for any goalkeeper, I think.
Yeah, as long as he can move. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking he will boss that defence around a little bit, because he'll be looking down at Louis and Kobe and go, "Come on, behave yourself."
Those two are pretty. You pick the biggest two.
Yeah, they're pretty big and all.
It's healthy competition, isn't it? Though, to have, because I think Brad's not put a foot wrong, other than the potential incident against Barrow that we won't talk about, because the stats still say he hasn't let in a goal this season. But with Jack coming in as well. And now Lewis is just it's real competition. It's got to be a good thing.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the idea is definitely Brad's going to go out on loan because he's to just get the regular play in. because I think they've definitely earmarked Brad for sort of a couple of years down the line as number one.
I really like Brad, but it does show sometimes that he's not that experienced. I think that'd be a really good thing for him if he does go somewhere.
But the other two have been signed with the absolute, you are fighting for number one. You're not signing as number one, you're signing as a competition for number one, which I think is great. And I think that's possibly why Lewis is signed, because it almost didn't matter what he was going to do at Swindon. He wasn't going to be number one.
Yeah.
So that's why he was like, I'm out of here. But yeah, Alan has said actually in the highlight show, it said 1 in 20 that we've done it. So yeah, that's
this bizarre attitude I've got now to home games, which I've never had before with Sutton, is that I'm turning up almost expecting a win to home games, which I wouldn't quite go that far, but it's a lot closer to that attitude than I've ever been supporting Sutton before, and that just goes to show how dominant we've been at home.
And without the magic pitch as well.
Yeah,
the magic carpet. We
don't have that. Ripped it up years ago.
Well, Harrogate had one of those as well, didn't they?
They did. So yeah, the goal we conceded, I didn't see much about the penalty because, as mentioned, Rosie was at the game and decided she needed to go to the loo at that precise moment in time. So I had to leave my spot. So I was like, okay, you do realise that this goal is entirely your fault.
Yeah.
Yes, I know you're only 5. I know you don't understand.
She thought we could see it out. She thought we could see it out to half time. She missed his space.
But came back second half again. There was a bit of a ropey spell, but stuck on Killian this time. And another great goal.
What a moment.
His first for the club, which you could see again the relationship with the players, because every single one of them was over to him to celebrate. So a great moment for him, great for the club, great for the academy, and obviously great for the team and us, because it gave us another win at home.
I thought it was a special moment when he stuck that in. I thought it was a real good poacher's striker's finish, the way it just fell to him, and he's just instinct, just bang high up into the roof of the net.
Yeah,
and you could see how much it meant to him.
I was going to say that he was over the moon, didn't he?
He was absolutely buzzing. Yeah, it was a special moment.
And Matt, if he didn't have no hair at all, would be pulling it out, thinking, "I've got to send one of these strikers out on loan. I can't have 6 strikers."
Because Tope can't stop scoring. They've just brought in Charlie, and then obviously Donovan again. One of the ones, Mike, you know how much I rate Donovan. And then you've got Omar injured, waiting to come back as well. There's a real plethora of talent up there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult decision for him to make, but that's his decision. So
only a few weeks ago, it feels like that we're all saying, "Oh, we haven't got enough strikers. What are we going to do?"
I didn't even mention Kwame as well there in that list of new signings.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you now both for your Player of the Day nominations. It's always hard after a good win or a good loss to pick out 4 players, because you want to just ring them off. No,
a big loss.
Yes, it's always difficult. But go on, who's your players of the day? Who do you want to nominate?
Do you want to start, Sarah?
Okay.
Thinking time.
I thought Harry was fantastic yesterday, and obviously there was the goal as well, and not just because he scored whatever body part he scored it with, but because you could tell how bad he needed to score for such a long time. I mean, he's really been plagued by injury, and you can tell that he gets really frustrated, that he just wants to be out there playing and scoring and keeping the team together like he does. And I'm really happy for him that he got one yesterday. So he's got to be up there. But then again, Josh. Every time it seems to get better every time we watch him. So it's kind of a toss-up between those. So I think Harry will just edge it for me, actually.
Okay. Well, I think Josh's next big step, and I might have said this last week, is the teams are going to start doubling up on him. Yeah. And he's going to have to work out how to do it.
It happened a bit in the second half.
Yeah.
It happened a bit, and he was slightly less effective, because I think the Harrogate lads at halftime must have spoken about it. They did start to double up, but I think
David Adjaboy managed that very well.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So I've got Sarah's 2. So you were trying to pretend to be all chivalrous, but it was just so you could work out a few more seconds thinking.
Well, my instinct is always to try and go with someone who isn't, you don't automatically think of straight away. And obviously my instinct was Harry, because he was fantastic and with the goal and everything. But I'd like to throw Kizzy in there. I think just whenever Joe's on the ball, I just have faith in him. He's not going to do anything daft. He's not going to give it away. He's got excellent defensive abilities, and he's such a threat going forward as well, as it showed with the. I know we've mentioned it already, but the cross for the goal was one of the best bits of skill I think we've seen this season. The way he hit that first time so perfectly to draw the keeper out, but let Harry get there first. I thought was excellent. We've got a couple in the chat as well.
No, you can't steal that. No. He's shouted for it's a Gabriel's put in a shout for Eastie, and Alan has already put a shout in for Harry.
The thing with Eastie is that I think I'm a bit guilty of this sometimes, is that he's so good every week. Yeah. I sort of go through the team and think, oh yeah, Eastman, yeah, he's great. Yeah. We don't think about it. But actually, it is a good shout. The way he distributed the ball, particularly getting out to the wingers. Gabriel's mentioned in the chat, getting out to the wingers, but also doing it early. He doesn't go via the fullbacks. He cuts them out, goes round, curls it out to Josh, and then that leaves Josh in the one-on-one situations we were talking about earlier. So Eastie and
Eastie. Okay, lovely. Well, I'll tell you
everyone was so good, weren't they?
Yeah, I'll tell you the names I wrote down. I put Harry. I put Rob because I thought he was brilliant yesterday.
Similar to Joe.
They're always good, aren't they?
Every time he's on the ball, he just fills you with confidence, Rob. Yeah.
And Killian for his first goal, but
absolutely,
it's fine. We will go with those four, and we'll put that poll up. I did remember last week, but brilliantly I remembered the poll, but then I forgot the link to the actual podcast. That's just genius. I'm great at this whole social media stuff. I might do an online class if anyone wants it. It's fantastic. But very, very quickly, we are now going to move on to the Stevenage match. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Sutton United Talk Time on podcast, the Sutton Podcast. If you are new to the show, hello, and you are very welcome. Hope you enjoy what we do. It's a very simple format. We get a few people on to talk about the game that's just gone, and then we preview the next game coming up. We are available on most podcast platforms where you can listen, rate, and review. If you find that we're not on your preferred platform, please let me know and I'll sort that for you. If anyone would like to support the podcast, you can find out how with more information on the website, which is www.suttonpodcast.com, and there's a tab where you can find out how to be a guest as well. Please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with the username @SuttonPodcast. Every like, follow, and share is really appreciated. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. And poor Matt has joined us and has been waiting very patiently in the background. So it's all right. They've had a good season so far. He could wait a few minutes to talk about it.
As long as he doesn't tell them to double up on Josh.
So joining us now is Matt Farley from the Stevenage podcast. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thanks, guys. Me on it's these podcasts names because I've spent years now doing the before, so it's quite nice to
hang on one second
about our position.
I'm just going to take you off and on again because you were just cracking up a little bit there. So 1 second. Right. Hopefully that's sorted it for you. So yeah, your season going well so far, is it?
Yeah, it's going brilliantly. It's sad that we'd be in the with the players that we've signed that we've got, but
I'm going to stop you. I'm really sorry. He's cracking up a little bit there. He's not coming through. Do you want to come off and rejoin or? Yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
Right. We'll just go from our point of view there. So, what are your thoughts ahead of Stevenage?
Yeah, tough game.
Sarah.
Tough game. Sorry, go on, Sarah. Go.
Yeah. Sarah, you go first.
I was pretty much just going to say that. But I mean, you never know, really. You never know what you're going to get on the day, and I would. It's one of those games that you wouldn't expect us to win on paper, but then who knows? It might be a surprise.
There's a line that Matt's kept repeating in a few interviews this season. That's that the first 10 games are always going to be challenging because there is the instinct to, whenever you're about to play someone, you look at the table and you see where they are and how they've been doing. And obviously, Stevenage have been off to an excellent start, but the table changes so much in the first 10 games. We're only on 7 now, so I think it's take it with a pinch of salt. But obviously, they've had a flying start, and it will be a tough game.
Right, Matt's come back, so we'll see if connection's any better this time. So go on, Matt.
Yeah, a fantastic stuff. Oh no.
I'll email you in a sec and we'll try to do it not live. I'm so sorry, Matt.
No, it's absolutely fine.
All right, I'll come back to you in a sec. Thank you.
No worries.
Oh, that's annoying. Right, so there was a lot I wanted to talk about with Matt there, actually. So what do we feel? Do we feel we're going to get a result, or are you literally just flip a coin?
No, always. Yeah. I'll never answer any fixture saying, well, we're not going to get a result. Definitely. I would take a draw if you offered it to me now. But I do think we are, with the squad that we've got, we've just discussed it, we're more than capable of getting a result there.
Yeah. And I know there was a lot of talk earlier in the season, or before the season, because we've lost Dave, we're going to struggle, which we all kind of thought was a bit weird because it's one player. And I haven't actually looked it up, but as good as he was, the number of goals and assists wasn't going to be one of those where you're like, whoa, what are we supposed to do now? Like Dom Telford from Mansfield.
Yeah.
Mansfield? Newport, even.
Really go over that.
Yeah. But what are we feeling now? Are we feeling more confident or same as we were? More?
Is it controversial to say that Josh might be an upgrade on Dave?
No.
Is that fair? I mean, I didn't want to lose Dave. Obviously, he was great, particularly last season. But the way Josh has started, I think the problem, if you like, not that there necessarily was one, but it's going to be addressed.
I said very early. I went very early. I said he looks like Dave, but with a little bit of an end product. Where sometimes, as great as he was, Dave would beat the last man and then sort of look around, going, "Now what?" And go into the stands, into the side nettings, and I just think Josh has just been that little bit better.
He's got his head up as well, Josh. When he runs, he's direct. He's got his head up. He is looking. Just the way, for example, the way he took his goal last week, the first goal, and just to have the awareness to hit that early to catch the keeper off guard. If you're running with your head down, I don't think you necessarily see that. But the way he beats those men, his head's up all the time. He knows to hit it early and finds the corner. I think that's really promising. But
if you're any Luton officials listening, he's awful, terrible person, and you should release him on a free to Sutton immediately.
I hope he does a Tanto and stays with us for 2.5 years at least. That'd be great.
I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
Yeah, that's so strange.
How on earth can you loan?
I think we attached to him, didn't we?
Yeah. 2.5 year loan.
Yeah, he stayed longer than some players. But yeah, so I think we get to be that annoying team to Stevenage, as we are to so many. I think we'll nick something from them and burst their bubble a little bit. I think now we're starting to seemingly manage those last 6 minutes, because it's always 6 minutes.
How is it always 6? It's doing my head in.
Claire gave me a theory that the board is broken.
You reckon? Yeah, maybe.
So, because it always goes up with 6. She's like, it's broken. That's clearly what the situation is. But we've managed that last 6 minutes. But so now we're going to start attacking in those last 6 minutes, and we'll score 2 late goals against Stevenage.
Like we did to them last season.
Exactly. But thank you very much, guys. I'm going to try and catch up with Matt and do a second half of the interview. So unfortunately, if you want to hear that, you're going to have to listen to the podcast this week.
Oh,
so
good teaser.
At least good teaser. Yeah. Thanks for listening, anyone who's listening live. And you'll have to listen to the rest of it as well if you want to, if I do catch up with Matt. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for your time, and thanks everyone for listening.
Cheers, Mike. Great work yesterday, Sarah, as well. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to get that rest of the interview with Matt, which is a real shame because he's a real nice guy. We've tried several times over the last season than this to organise an interview, and always something happens. I'm not sure why. Maybe we're just destined never to speak. But if you can, do follow him on TSFC Podcast, the Stevenage FC Podcast. Great guy. Obviously loves his club. Can't blame him for choosing the wrong team, but never mind. And I was going to top and tail the interviews by talking about the park run that I mentioned several times in the last interview. I don't want to turn this into a running thing because I've clearly only done 4. I am alive, obviously. I've managed to finish it, the massive 5K that it was. I didn't fall down dead. Massive turnout on Non-Such. They must have been really, really delighted. I think there was just over 900 people who finished the run. Sorry. You'd think doing this as a monologue it'd be a lot easier, but it's not. It's harder.
But yeah, anyone who was there, and I know there was at least a few Sutton fans there because a couple of people said hi to me, including Steve and Evans, who pointed out that Tom wasn't just someone associated with Parkrun. He was a very humble guy, and he's actually done a huge podcast for about 10 years, so he didn't mention that when I was being as professional as always. But the reason I mention this is Matt's actually going to be in training for a marathon. So if you go on to the Stevenage FC podcast Twitter, you'll see that he's in training for a marathon. And if anyone wanted to donate, his details are on there. But hopefully it'll be a good game. Hopefully, as I say, we will nick it. We won't be at home now for the men's team for a couple of weeks. But as I mentioned earlier, the ladies' team are at home on Sunday. Free entry, come down, watch the game, give them a bit of support. In my mind now, we've got that 400 people at Dulwich as a little bit of a target. I think 284 we had a couple of weeks ago, so let's try and get a few more people in the gate and watch them and support them. They definitely can do with the sport. It's a much harder division this year than it was last year. Thank you all for listening. It's been great to talk to you, and thanks to both Sarah and Alex for their time earlier, and obviously for Matt for trying a couple times for me. Any comments, please shout me out on social media at Sutton Podcast, or drop me an email, suttonpodcast@gmail.com. I've had one question earlier in the week on social media, how to become a guest on the show. Just give me a shout and tell me what you want to do, and I'll add you to my invite list and we'll book a time. And yeah, thanks for listening. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.
United! United!